CBS News had a show over the weekend in which the anchor there just couldn't believe her ears. I mean, she just was shocked when she saw the results of a YouGov CBS poll that suggested Americans have kind of had it with the illegal migration into the country. And it's really interesting to see her reaction here because she's like, wow, well, this is part of the problem, right? When the elites are like, oh, wow, they're so taken back. They don't understand. And by the way, she's a really nice woman. I used to work with her at CNBC and at Bloomberg. She's very smart. But you get the sense that there is very much a bubble around some people because I could have told you, you know what? Americans are really not liking this idea that migrants are being flown into their communities in the dead of the night. Communities are not even being told. And then somehow the communities have to put them up for 6 months in a hotel and they get a phone and a cash card. And this is not going over well. There is no one that is okay with this. And if it's happening in your community, you're really not okay with this. Let's cut to the tape from Face the Nation this weekend.
New government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally. And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 in 10. It's strongest among folks who are MAGA. It's strongest among Trump supporters, but also from some Democrats as well. And I think that speaks to the general idea, not just that people see the border as a crisis, but also where we are in the campaign, where a lot of very dramatic or new proposals out there are finding favor here.
So unpack that a bit, because this 62% of Americans favor deporting all undocumented immigrants. So Homeland Security says that President Biden has already deported or repatriated more people in the past year than any year since 2010. And then depending on the details of what's talked about on the campaign trail, some of what Mr. Trump talks about could be illegal. It doesn't seem practical in some sense to round up children. And then we know that the courts have questioned whether local authorities would have the ability to do it, and federal authorities don't have the resources. So what exactly do people think they're supporting?
Well, when you measure public sentiment on this or really just about any policy, you're getting a sense of direction. You're getting broad brushstrokes. But those kinds of details, well, that's often up to the legislatures and the courts.
So in other words, people don't want this, okay? That's the bottom line, okay? They'll let the legislatures and the courts figure out how to deal with the details of it. But I think bottom line, they're like, And they're actually supporting this deportation policy. So that bodes well for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who's promising to invoke an executive order on day one to deport people. So I think this is in part just what's so shocking, right? Like at some point, here's the problem. You had this like runaway train and all the wokeism and all the nonsense. You remember Joe Biden there in the 2020 debate saying that he would welcome migrants and encourage them to stampede the border. He actually said it. That he encouraged them to stampede the border. Well, guess what? That's exactly what they did. Fox News running a clip today saying, oh, we want to thank Biden. We want to thank Biden. We love Biden. These are migrants at the border, right? Because he's basically opened the floodgates. So Americans are like, wait a second, from a national security standpoint, from an economic standpoint, from a sort of cultural standpoint, none of it works, right? None of it works. And you don't need to be anti-immigration to say it doesn't work. You can be very pro-immigration. In fact, Donald Trump, I say all the time, the guy, he married 2 immigrants. How do you like that? And he has made the point over and over again that you can have a red carpet, but you need to be selective. You need to know who's coming here. Imagine that. Know who's coming there to your country and actually have like buckets. Okay, we need workers for this. We need nurses in hospitals. We need technicians that can work in software. I mean, you select it, right? So that there's a strategy and that there's a plan. And I think Americans are fine with that, but they're not okay with this hodgepodge system where you don't know who's here and you run the risks of increased violence, increased poverty, and increased problems. That's just where we are. And we talked about this the other day. I was talking with Dan Tilson. I encourage you to go and listen to that interview from Friday. So Dan Tilson is from Americans for Prosperity, one of the groups I'm really proud to partner with. I mean that, guys, because they care about policy like the border. You know, what do you do on immigration? They care about the policy surrounding our monetary system and the inflation that we're dealing with. They care about healthcare. I mean, these are the things that are the nitty gritty issues, and they get solutions, right? Solutions. So it's really a great team of people over there. And I encourage you to go and sign up for their newsletter, their website, americansforprosperity.org, because you'll just get a wealth of information from them. And go listen to Dan's interview with me, Dan Tilson, talking about what is the solution. He's actually got like a 4-pillar plan. So we can fix this. We can fix this if we want to. But you know, that's the issue. Does anybody want to? Or is this somehow working for the left and to a certain extent the right? You know, you polarize these issues and then they just help one side or another to get elected. I actually do believe that Donald Trump wants to fix it, and I think he will fix it. I think he's got a little bit of a pride and ego associated with all of this. It's like I said when he was running in 2016, he'll want to fix the economy. He'll want to be able to sit there and say, did you see the GDP numbers? Did you see those median income numbers? And that's exactly what he did. And you know what? To his credit, he can write home about that stuff because we did get good GDP prints and we did get good numbers on the economy, and we hadn't seen those in quite some time. In fact, his median income levels were the highest that we had gotten in some 50 years. I mean, you're going to go back 50 years, all right? So I think Americans are looking back with a certain kind of nostalgia right now, which certainly benefits him and puts Biden in a very difficult spot because been there, done that, right? We know what we're going to get with Biden, and people don't want to get it.